Hi everybody, welcome back. It's Felix Hyde. Happy Samhain, happy Halloween. Yeah, one of my favorite holidays since a child. And now realizing why that is because the veils become super thin. And it's always fun as a child to kind of connect to spirit and to kind of embrace that. And now as an adult, realizing the depth of the Celtic New Year and the depth of the deeper connections to the spirit realm, which is just so wonderful to kind of be in and connect with, which I just love. So thank you all so much for joining today. I am going to try and release this tonight, actually, just purely because it is Halloween, and though we are talking about the month prior and the month to come, um, yeah, we'll kind of just see where this goes. So I'm going to take this off though because I'm already getting really hot. Um, and I am also enjoying a nice cup of mugwort tea in the spirit of the holiday. Um, yeah, it's always, I've actually recently discovered mugwort. I've never really fallen into like a herby path, but this tea is it's really good. It's really good for kind of just making things a little bit more lucid in your meditations, or if you're already lucid in your meditations, it takes them a lot deeper, which is it's really fun. It's really good fun. So what I'll just get started with first and foremost is just some housekeeping, really. We've got a couple of things coming up in November. We've got the 6th of November, which is Self Care Monday. And all the details will be down below or on the blog page at www.felixhyde.com. The second, I've got an event on the 11/11 at 8 p.m. because I'm actually going to be in Liverpool that day at the Mystical Moon Market. I think it's at the Britannia Hotel. I can't really remember. But yeah, you can go ahead and find Mystical Moon Market. I think it's at Mystical Moon Market on Instagram. And I'll be there with a few of my other buddies as well, like Lisa Perkins, Fantastic Medium, and Psychic. And then Matty is our Matty Mascara. He creates mushroom tinctures. I haven't got one at hand, but I love his mushroom tinctures. They are amazing. I use the Chaga one for psoriasis purely because it takes out all the inflammation out of the skin and it has done wonders for me. So you can find his stuff as www.mamascottagemushrooms.org. Really, really nice products, actually. Yeah, and this is not an ad or anything like that. It's just purely what I've experienced recently. So very good products. I need to message him actually. Whilst that's coming in. Today. Okay, so the next event I'm doing is on the 16th of November, which is at 6 p.m., which is the Psychic Healing and Development course. And then on the 21st, a Temple of Divine Union full field recalibration. And that I think that one's also at 6 p.m. And then on the 30th, I've got the group grid session, which is again at 6 p.m. Now, I tend to keep them all at 6 p.m. apart from ones when I'm traveling, then they have to usually be a little bit later. Or if I'm doing a shoot, they'll have to be a little bit later. But the 11/11 ones are always really great, really good fun. So yeah, it'll be lovely to have you all there. So yeah, that's pretty much the housekeeping done. And jumping into the energy of October through to November, my God, has it been transformational? What we can see with the eclipse season, October energy in and of itself, we've gone through a very, very deep clearing of divine masculine through to divine feminine healing and recalibration. There's been significant rebirth energies coming in. and working through us on an individual level plus through a collective level, as they always are intertwined. So what we'll do is we'll just touch base on a more individual level. What I have found is that there has been a significant solar plexus recalibration. And not just that, it's gone into breaking down the control structures within your own parental archetypes. So for that, we're looking at the dark mother and we're looking at the dark father archetypal energy. So when we break that down further, looking at the dark mother, we kind of inherit that through our ancestral line and work to incorporate it on a day-to-day basis through our childhood. So it's basically the shadow side of the mother energy, and how one would have learned to unparent the child, or not unparent, because I know a bunch of people doing that, but it's all the characteristics a mother should have, like nourishment, nurture, care, love, consideration, compassion, and holding space for the child is kind of void. And within the breakdown of this templating, we're then able to kind of dismantle the points of origin as where they sit to be able to reparent your own child, if that makes sense. So everywhere that you've become imbalanced from this kind of architecture, this archetypal energy, and also within your own personality, because what it will do is it will kind of seep through from the architecture levels and from the templating levels into your own personality matrix, and then play out as you lack the nurture for yourself, really. And this is something that I've kind of like been going through as well. So just to kind of neutralize it and understand it from an objective level, if we extend the viewpoint out to the collective field, what we're going to be understanding with this is we're looking at the control structures in the world where they are acting as a safeguard or a safe parent, but really is quite malicious intent coming from these structures, these kind of control structures or false guardian structures. So we can see that as a government, if you will. Or we can look at it as the top tier levels of a healthcare system. Sometimes there's not really a positive alignment with them, because at the end of the day, a lot of it's for profit. A lot of it's for control. A lot of it is for keeping you in a certain threshold of movement, but pertaining you to be holding yourself in a specific way, not to fall out of their guidelines. Otherwise, mother will tell you off, or father will tell you off, and you'll get into trouble. So when we can kind of see that playing out, we're looking into all of these fields of polarity, all of these extreme polarized viewpoints, these extreme kind of opinions and beliefs, and then it's the reactivity levels that come from that. So really, when we look down as the dark mother, dark father, well, beyond that, really, we're looking to control the infants, or they are looking to control the infants that are under their care. It actually sounds like I'm telling you a bit of a story, to be honest. So it feels like that as well. So when we're kind of like looking down to through the eyes of these dark mother, dark father templating or archetypes, we can see how the children are kind of forced into a kind of level of division, as well as holding opposition and complete polarization within thought form and narrative. So because they've been put into that segment and within that box, they have kind of become spiky towards the opposite side. So anybody that kind of comes in and steps out of line, they believe it's their job to kind of correct you and tell you what is right and what is wrong. When in actual fact, hell no, that's not how it goes. We should be able to hold our own belief systems and things like that. So should be able to hold our own belief systems and our own thoughts towards a situation without being told, no, this is right, no, that's wrong. So primarily within that, what we're looking at is the feedback of control coming through the Dark Mother, Dark Father. Now, as we're kind of looking at that level on a collective level, we can then interplay this on our own personal, and we can see where in our own lives that we've kind of gone through a similar narrative, a similar storyline, and how has this been played out. So it's very painful to kind of go through a rebirth of this level, because it's never just your own energy. It's always going to be extended into collective fields. So what you're doing is you're pulling in not just your own energy, not just your own trauma, but you're also pulling in trauma of the collective. You're pulling in trauma of the ancestors and through the Akashic field. So it is essentially having a reboot in of itself to clear mass amounts of contracts, mass amounts of history, to be able to come back into a space where the architecture and the templating has deconstructed to be able to embody more of this divine mother essence, which is care, consideration, compassion, unconditional love, and holding in a surrender, but also nourishment. Because as we look to this collective field, a lot of these children that are playing out in this storyline of the Dark Mother, Dark Father polarization or polarity, they haven't been given the nurturing and the love and the support for them to process their own beliefs, to process their own understanding of the situations, and process what is actually truth for them. So they are only given a tiny, tiny, tiny coin space to stand on. Whereas if we move into the Divine Mother space, we've got a whole proverbial dinner plate size. It sounds small, but I mean, it's like on a universal spectrum, it's very big. We've got all of this room to play. And when we kind of dismantle this lack of nurturing and Dark Mother templating, and I will get into the Dark Father templating as well afterwards, but just give me time. You're then able to kind of shift into a much more clearer understanding of one's own limitations of thought, and narrow beliefs, in which really this has caused a lot of contention and confusion in your own life, because primarily the limitations of the beliefs, the limitations of thought, they act as a they give the perception that you are in the right and everyone else is in the wrong, but in actual fact, it's just a case of seeing the reflection of everybody else as a part of you. And this has been a continual theme through October, to look at the reflections of the collective, and seeing how intertwined we all really are, but also to become aware of those reflections as just parts of the self that are very wounded. And I'm sure I'm teaching you all to suck eggs here with this information, but it's always good to kind of recap and just remember at times, because we can continue to go through, particularly within these eclipse periods, and heavy energies that gets brought up within them. It can become almost insufferable to be upon the earth, because it becomes so heavy, it becomes so hard, and it becomes very painful and reactive. And I know that because I am a I am a living, breathing human being that has all of these issues, or not issues, but experiences really himself. So within that process, it's very much a case of kind of journeying through it and recognizing it as it's coming up. And sometimes we just we can't, because it becomes so unconscious or so numb to be able to move it through your system. So this is a really interesting point about the numbness, particularly when going through these high energy transits. The fields become so super reactive that our own systems have found ways to build protective shields through past trauma, where we vow never to go through this kind of pain again, or we vow to maintain a level of protection within ourselves, that really kind of numbs everything out, so we're able to sustain on the planet. And this, with this thing that's going on in Israel, Palestine, and I did a deep dive on this at the start of the month, to be honest, and it's hazy, it's real hazy. I don't really want to get into it too much because there is so much that goes on in there. These eruptions of war templating, these experiences of war, create such disarray and such chaos in the fields that it becomes numb, first and foremost, to conceal the pain so you're able to function. Secondly, it creates very subtle layers of chaos that brings out more levels of reactivity within each and every one of us. And then that going through 2 fucking eclipses, excuse my French, at the same time, it's you pretty much get floored, you really do. The more sensitive that you are, the more you're able to kind of navigate it, but the more you're able to feel. Both makes it easier, but it also doesn't. So it's kind of a little bit counterproductive on an energy level, but it's also a time where we can go through such massive transformation, which then akins to the rebirth. So what I'm kind of seeing with this deep solar plexus recalibration and the release of the control structures of the dark mother and the dark father, or dark masculine, we are able to create a transference of power from the controller back to we the people, which has been an ongoing thing as we reclaim more and more of our identity, as we reclaim more of our awareness of ourselves and our sovereignty. We're then able to embody more of this power that we were once giving away. And if you are to go through your own Akashic field into your galactic history, you will find on many occasions you have surrendered yourself or you've abused your own power. And this is why we get so affected by these kind of situations of war, of collective field. So why is it that we feel so much, or we're knocked about so much within that space? Is because that what we've got in our own history, we're being reminded of in those moments, to really take a look at and review to see whether it is still apparent, whether it is still needed to be discussed, needed to be looked at. And when you kind of do go through that within the reclamation process, you're then able to kind of rebuild yourself back together. Okay. I'm gonna have some tea. Let me get down to the next part of that, because that was quite a lot straight away. So what I've also found within this month, there's been a very, very deep purge of or a cleansing of the physical organs. We're looking to the pancreas, we're looking at the stomach, we're looking at the gallbladder and the liver. So all running across that horizontal axis line, the physical incarnation axis, but also towards all of the power centers. Pancreas is all about the nourishment. The liver is all about the detoxification of or cleansing of kind of toxins. And that linking in with the gallbladder, I'm not entirely sure what the gallbladder does, but we're kind of looking at nourishment and detox on a feminine level and on a masculine level. So where does it both come together? It comes in through the solar plexus to restore and rebuild the power. So detoxification of the dark masculine, detoxification of the dark mother, only then to come back into a level, now that these templatings are kind of clearing out of ourselves, we're then able to reconstruct and build in this layer of nourishment. So yeah, really, really, really amazing transformation this month. Even now, what I'm finding is parts of the organs will come into pain around the backside of the body every now and then, as we're still kind of purging through it and going through it, which is really fantastic to go through that depth of healing on a physical level, because you can really tell within it. But as this templating breaks down, what I did notice as well is that there is layers of depression that's wrapped up within that. So if you have been kind of going through the experience of depression, this is quite common, I feel, with this, because it's so tightly bound, wounding to the child and wounding to the self, where you've kind of lacked nourishment and lacked love for yourself. This is the time that it's coming back in, because it's a remembrance of self-worth. Yeah, so I'm interested with this whole transference of power from the controller topic. So I just want to kind of open this a little bit further and dive into this a bit more now. So with this transference of power, as we claim back our own strength through rebirth and detox and purification. Maybe on the heart. It gives us opportunity to let me just call this back. Okay, so as we go into the transference of power back from the controllers into we the people, we're going to see a breakdown of I actually feel more rapid breakdown of control in the public eye. which then shifts back to we the people on whatever level it's going to be on an individualized level, but then on a collective level as well. I really do feel that we're going to be seeing some quite strong shifts through November into claiming back of sovereignty and power, and of choice as well within we could maybe not in political circuits, but more so and in some countries. Okay, interesting. In some countries, maybe like Canada and the US, we're going to be seeing more rapid shifts and changes over there, and more power being brought back to the people over there. But then what I'm seeing this as is like ripples and waves that extend out over the rest of the world. So whatever goes on in the West, in the North American continent, we're then going to see echo out through 2024 to the other countries and the other continents as well. This is interesting. I'm just also seeing fireworks as well, so I don't know if November 5th is going to have anything to do with it, but also maybe Thanksgiving. I feel like it's Thanksgiving more so than Guy Fawkes Day. So we've just got a kind of placement date. I don't know if you even do fireworks there. Thanksgiving, maybe. But it feels like a time of celebration. It feels like a time of excitement and of jubilee. Jubilee. Okay, that's a weird word. I would never normally say either. Yeah. So look into jubilees. Something to do with finances around that. Jubilee. Finances. I'm just also seeing a lot of turkeys as well right now, so I think it is to do with Thanksgiving. So all I can say to that is gobble gobble, and we'll have to wait and see how that runs. The next thing I'm seeing coming in as well is a lot of blue diamond plasma, and this is creating almost like a stabilization through the fields. What is this for? It almost looks, in fact, it is looking like it's creating or has created. I think like it's both created and also creating a firmer foundation for a new platform of Earth embodiment to set in. So this actually feels like it's connected into New Earth. It feels like it's connected into the foundation of the fields of New Earth to kind of hold space for it to anchor. It's already there, but for it to become more physical. So that's very interesting as well. And for the past couple of weeks, I've also been receiving, probably since the start of September, actually, Christmas coming early. So make that as you will. I'm not going to kind of define it in any way, shape, or form. I'm just going to leave that as down for you guys to discern. On what you would like it to be as well, because we've got these amazing powers, you know, where we can kind of start building the potentialities within your own reality first, and not to go into an ungrounded perspective that we're going to materialize golden cars that fly straight away. We need to start off within a realistic kind of awareness level first. So what is it that you want to kind of birth into? And since we are currently, well, we've just come through the full moon in Taurus, and the eclipse, which is all about embodiment of, or not embodiment, but the building of finances, the building of abundance, the building of all of the good things that you deserve and that have been kept from you within control and constriction by the dark controllers, essentially. You're then able to kind of take this and really you work with the energies to materialize into the physical form. Now, this new moon, this full moon, don't feel like it has to just stop on that day or those 2 days where it kind of runs over. It can be a continual building of what it is that you want. Now, some astrologers may tell me otherwise, but I'm just going on what I'm given. It doesn't just have to be held in this, but in that space, it's more so like it can be built upon year by year and month by month, just remembering what it is that you want and knowing how to dismantle within yourself what it is that's limiting yourself from materializing it, really. So yeah, it's really been a strong month for change for the better. So with this whole deconstruction of the dark mother, going into the dark masculine, which I'll talk about next, because I did something quite unusual, which I never ever thought that I would do again, given my history, is I actually was guided to use plant medicine, and within this, it was a really amazing opportunity to rapidly clear so many layers within myself. And it's called medicine for a reason, because you're able to kind of see beyond what you wouldn't necessarily be able to. Now, I would never normally go down this route ever, but it felt very aligned. A very firm believer in knowing that everything is within you and you don't need external influences, even plant medicines, to kind of get you to a point of being able to see something that you wouldn't normally be able to see, but for some reason it fell into my lap so easily, and I felt continual guidance to do it, which then led to journeying so deep within myself to find at the I want to say at the planetary structure, at the planetary level, but also it's the universal level, this dark masculine parasitic false king of tyranny parasite. And as I kind of worked to understand that there and then and break it down, it collapsed so many different structures out of my field that were running this dark architecture through the extraction of this parasite. Now, again, I'm not recommending this for anybody. I did it on my own guidance. I wouldn't normally do that kind of thing because it just doesn't really appeal to me anymore. I did like 15 years of drugs. So I was like, I don't really feel called to do these things, but this one felt very significant this time, to become very aware of this parasite, this dark parasite, that's been interplaying through the collective field for eons, like absolute eons. Now, really amazing teachings came within this, which is again going back into that observer viewpoint of the dark and light structure, which is one and the same. It's just the dark being opposite to the light, so it's an opposition. Um, it gave me a really good chance to understand it at this level where it was beyond polarity. I was able to see it from a level where I was, mm, I would say, from like a creation viewpoint, actually. And then looking into it from that perspective, it was just one side that was unaware of the other, really. Um, and when you're so unaware of something, it's scary. It's quite scary. Um, and it's kind of our due diligence to go in and recognize these parts of you that are very ugly as your own. And it's when doing that, you're then able to transform on such a rapid trajectory. It really helps to embody polarity, I suppose, um, and to integrate polarity, because when we're looking to this, we're then able to kind of understand that both the polarized sides, it's actually it's one and the same. Um, and then you're able to kind of take it in and love it for what it is. But that being said, working with your own structure, when you take your own self back in, it doesn't stay dark anymore. It moves into a oneness, into a unified field, which has really been quite an amazing journey. But the external influence, as you work through this level of polarity within yourself, the breakdown of control, the breakdown of the control that was stored um, within the field just simply can't sustain. And I actually feel like that's why and how this dark masculine template broke down, as well as the release of this parasite. Now I'm not gonna lie, I actually had a physical response to that parasite releasing, and it came out, it was really gross, but it came out like mucus from my sinuses. So however that's been playing, is it's very interesting to see how these things kind of move through. And it's just, I give you this information because it's interesting to document in your own journey. I'm all for the nitty gritty. I'm all for the grossness and the nastiness, because it is. It's, I've always been one who enjoys or finds it very interesting to go into these kind of really dark corners and explore them, even though they're shit scary. And it sends a trigger point through the system to invoke a response, I suppose. But going inwards to see this and breaking that down, I actually feel like this had an effect on such a, like a drastic effect on the collective field within that as well. Um, to expel or to rebuke or to exorcism out this thing, um, was super necessary for this time. As we're moving forwards into 2024, it's like lifting out all of the tentacles, lifting out this long parasitic um, entity that was like nothing I've ever seen before, to this level, and then work to clear it. So I guess what I'm also being told right now is, like, if you do feel a resonance to what I'm saying, it might be something to kind of look into your own fields to see for, really, because it is a level of mind control. It is um anti-life, it is anti-Christ. I would say. But at the same time, what is also important to realize and understand and remember, depending on where you are, is that it's not you. It never has been you. It never will be you. It's just hitching a ride through the fields to try and get to somewhere where it's not meant to be. And I think with that understanding, it is, yeah, quite an amazing thing to discover. And the gratitude that I felt afterwards through the clearing within the plant medicine, that I don't particularly feel called to do again for some months. I don't know because there was so much within there um, that I just don't feel like I need to do anything just yet. Not for a long while because we can already get to what we need to get to. But it's yeah. Anyway. Um, I've lost my train of thought now. Nie, teraz mam na odpowiedora. Yeah, it definitely was such an eye-opening experience to clear so much at such a rapid pace. So yeah, an amazing October through to November. Very, very deep rebirth, very deep transformation. Um, and if anything, I hope for this recording today, it will be to help you integrate what it is that you've gone through. So just touching base on the eclipses, we had the lunar eclipse the second weekend on the new moon, which was no lunar eclipse, the solar eclipse, sorry, on the new moon, um, which was targeting all of the ego, the masculine, and then coming through into the lunar eclipse, we're targeting all of the feminine. Now it's really interesting as well because when the sun stuff came up, it was all of the feminine stuff I was dealing with. But when the moon came up, it was all of the masculine stuff that was being rebalanced. So that was just my own personal experience, but maybe that can assist you somewhere along the way. But yeah, that being said, have a wonderful November, guys. We've got a lot going on. I'm going to be in Chester 4th and 5th of November at the Health and Healing Festival. Then the 11/11, I'm going to be at the Mystical Moon Market. And then on the 12th, I will be in the Haydock in the Mercure Hotel. And then I think actually that's me done for the year of shows. But obviously I've got all these other events on the 6th, on the 11/11 at 8 p.m, on the 16th, the 21st, and the 30th. So yeah, if you do feel called, come along. And let's just finish off with a meditation. Just placing your hands facing up in your lap, taking a breath in, connecting to green and yellow tones. We're going to build them in as spiral vortexes running through the chakra system, re-energizing, rejuvenating, updating the vertical pillar. Breathing in, pearlescent light builds through the fields, builds through your sphere of light, backed with magenta. Correcting electrical currents and electric pathways running through synapse systems. Correcting channels of information and nerve synapse relief. lifting out stagnant electrical energetics. Dissolving victimization, dissolving opposition, dissolving hurt aggression, tri-wave spectrums cleanse through vertical parallel lines. Purifying axiotonal lines. Unblock meridians. Unblock Hara lines. White and peach light moving down through the vertical, running through the vertical axiotonal lines, taking it through the planetary body, and then running across the horizontal ley lines of the planet. Cleaning perceptions. Bringing in diamond light alchemy into the perception field as it purifies, cleanses the lenses. Any streams of anger, any streams of hate, any streams of hurt, any layer of perceptional imbalance, Yamato Okura. Attack and opposition, Nayadoras Maakia Okura Amaatiam. And then take that down through into the heart, Deep heart cleanse, unlocking seals at the chest. And we're looking into the different ventricles of the heart. Golden lock seals. Almost being used as a method to maintain strength of heart, to be able to not go through deeper transitions of sadness. Breaking them down, dissolve, lift and released. Unlocking the memories. Emerald light. Emerald and white light. There's also mineral tones coming in here as well. I'm not entirely sure what minerals are right now. Selenium being one of them. I don't even know that's a mineral, but I'm seeing malachite as well. Think phosphorus. Phosphorus. I don't know what that does. So it feels like it's something to do with like the kidneys and the blood. Repairing iron levels. Blood platelets. Bioorganism repair. Miasma release. And also like a kind of attachment energy that's kind of clinging around the heart. Whole body's going very light. Repair of the tissues within the heart, and just taking this through left side, right side to left side. I want to merge and marry up the purification to both levels, and then just start to build white bridges between the two worlds, left and right. And then seeing a stream of blue diamond light running down through the vertical and harmonizing between divine masculine, divine feminine, creating a bridge, and also running through the DNA fields, restructuring hexagonal grids, solar plexus spinning at the back as it releases. unlocking through each chakra. All layers of numbness. Breathe through the heart. As you move your focus from third eye and crown, or root and sacral, up to the heart or down to the heart, we're going to bring everything in through the heart, holding your consciousness at the heart. Unlocks and releases Yamata Biyoso Okura. And you may as well take your awareness down into the hips and into the feet. Just allow that level of awareness to unlock all of this stagnant energy that's sitting down there as we do a full body scan. Okay, brilliant. Feeling all of that movement now. And the next thing we're going to do is just bring a holographic pink heart shape into the third eye, and we're going to project it out into the indigo sphere of light. So your perception, intuitive fields. And we're just going to completely cleanse the perceptions and bring it all back to the 0 point. All layers of fear. This is the reason why we get so clogged up in the third eye. I can't see anything. It's because there's a lot of fear that's stuck within that, but there's also a lot of like reversal energy and emotion, heavy emotion that's kind of blocking it. Fear because you don't want to see the truth. But if we recognize our safety within that and our safety within love, it's then able to break down. Continue this. Let's just spend about 2 more minutes just really pulsating love into this field. 2 to 3 minutes. It feels like a big one. It feels like it really needs to be unplugged. Every bit of information you're absorbing through your eyes, whether it's watching the news, or communicating with friends who are in troubled times, homeless on the street, all plays an impact. Whether it's deception, just want to bring it all back to the 0 point. And also how you view yourself on an individual level and on a collective level. Bring it back to love. Now, as we bring up that holographic pink heart into that field, you're also going to notice how it's interplaying with the lower chakras as well. So everything below, everything above, and where it runs through your own body. it's going to pulsate and clear out those lower chakras and lower fields as well. And the more you intend for the love to expand and the love to update and upgrade, you're then given the opportunity to review these heaviness lumps and bumps within the chakra system as it's processing through the layers of resistance and polarity. Sometimes it might be really tough to go through that, but as you feel it and it becomes harder or heavier, just know that as that's breaking down, as it's moving through your system, it is actually deconstructing and unraveling the energetic history behind that behind the blockage. And we also want to take it up into the 8th and 9th chakra, the 10th and 11th and 12th. But predominantly here, 7, 8, and 9, the monadic field is very locked up at the moment. So within the monadic aspects of the self, we can actually gain more awareness to our galactic history and our further upstream history that we want to really clear out and become more fluid within processing. And that seems to be a consistent theme for the second half of this year, is processing and unlocking, or not even the second half of this year, but from like the equinox onwards, it's been about processing the monadic information or unlocking the monadic fields, really, monadic matrix in Mātāporia Sort of Quarter. So we gain access to the perspectives of the monadic history and also the soul history, the personality history, and also going into the avatar history on Mātāporia Sort of Quarter. We want to be able to unlock all of it so we can gain full perspective and views through different lenses. We're going to just go ahead and call ourselves back here. And bringing in and embodying that unconditional love, feeling the love essence into the body. And have that stay with you for today, tomorrow, the next day, as much as you want. And we're just going to go ahead and seal, update through all fields, update through all localized grid, seal forward through all levels of layers of light and through all bodies and through the breath of the divine I am. Happy Samhain. Don't watch too many scary movies, or do. I love a scary movie. I think they're so much fun. Ever since I was little, I was always obsessed with like exorcism movies, and then coming into my adult life, and now I'm kind of doing them with many people. So it's quite funny to see how we are attracted to that kind of energy to kind of overcome our own history behind it, really. So yeah, anyway, have a lovely week, have a lovely month even, and I will see you at some of the events. Take care, guys. Lots of love. Bye.